Hi, vaccination. So now, in the present times in India, this is the hot topic which we are discussing. We are also experiencing a long queue in front of the vaccination center. We are also hearing that most of the vaccinations are not available or out of stock. So you may be surprised that how is this? So our team, we started investigating into it, and the results which we got out of this investigation is really stunning, shocking. It exposed the whole vaccine mafia surrounding the world. This vaccine production, the patency of the vaccine, or so-called the recipe of the vaccine, the raw materials of the vaccine are all being held by two nations, that's UK and USA. So these are the two countries which are controlling the whole vaccination process across the world. They also have a sinister design to limit the supply, slow down the vaccination process, at the same time take control of the whole vaccination across the world. The US has got nearly around 550 million doses stockpiled. And this amount of doses they have kept in excess, and they never ever shared or exported from the country. Similarly, the UK, Britain, has got nearly 110 million doses, and they never bothered to export. Whereas India has shared 44% of its production of vaccines elsewhere. In fact, they're pressurizing India not to share the vaccines with the poorer countries. The Prime Minister Modi has called up Joe Biden, the American president, to ease the restrictions on the raw materials and allow the export. But the American government refused, and this is what they had to say. He raised the issue with the US requesting to lift the ban that is in place since February. So this particular graph will clearly demonstrate the total number of vaccines the Americans have totally stockpiled. Doses of nearly a total of 120 crores doses they have stockpiled. So another issue the Indian which raised was to share the patent rights. So, but the US set aside, claiming that the intellectual property rights for vaccine and that it was a matter for the US trade representatives to decide. To fight with the pandemic, it nearly requires 75% of the population to be vaccinated. That means to say, for the whole world to be vaccinated, with it nearly takes around some 2 years. Because the amount of vaccination going on in the world at the moment is around 18.5 doses of vaccination has been given per day. So if it goes with this pace, it requires at least 2 years for the whole world to be vaccinated. That is 75% of the population of the world to get rid of this pandemic. So similarly, if we have that statistics in India, that means nearly around 80 crore population to be vaccinated above 18 years of age to get rid of this pandemic. It takes nearly around 10 months. So with this type of production from the Serum Institute, where the raw materials which was delivered on February and thereafter no raw materials has been given to the Serum Institute, it is hard for the Serum Institute to produce the vaccines. That means our vaccination program is deeply hurt. And it means to say this has got a direct result on the lives of the humans and the citizens of the country. So the things which we are experiencing at the present, it is a classic example for that. Apart from this, the most important and the most shocking thing which we observed in our research is pertaining to the patents. These patents is being entirely owned by the US and the UK. And the Indian government requested to at least share those patents, especially in a pandemic of this nature, where the lives of the humans are at stake. But the US and the UK refused to share the patents. A resolution from India was made in the United Nations. And you'll be surprised to know the countries which blocked those resolutions. It was Japan and the European Union. And even the temporary sharing of patents during the time of crisis was also declined by US and UK. Though US boasts of a strategic partnership with India, but it doesn't want to share its patents, it doesn't want to share the raw materials required for the vaccination, despite the India going to such a crisis in the human life. So, and you'll be surprised to know, I think you might have all heard about the great Microsoft, Bill Gates, and another thing, the Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation, which they boast of charity across the world, and they have a foundation in India too. And you'll be disappointed to know the response when it comes to sharing of those patents. And you will be, I think you will be aware, you are aware that Bill Gates is one of the partners with the Pfizer companies. And in his interview, this is what he has said. So this is the highlights of Bill Gates' interview, which he gave it on the 3rd of May. Bill Gates has refused to share COVID-19 vaccine tech with developing countries like India. So now we can understand the type of charity he was doing across the world and the intentions behind the charity. He cited security issues, so it's indeed funny, and said it would not be feasible to share COVID vaccine patents with India. So the final conclusions of our research, it's very clear that America and the Britain want to limit the supply of vaccines to the developing world. They wanted to have a direct control on the vaccination process across the world. And beside this, they wanted to slow down the vaccination process. And you'll be surprised to know as what is the motive behind this, why they wanted to do this. And it is very clear that because of this particular strategy, the pandemic will be extended for 2 to 3 years across the world. That means to say that the majority of the developing countries' economy will completely collapse, and there are many countries where they may even perish. So is this what the Americans and the Britons want? By directly controlling the vaccination process across the world at the cost of the human lives. They don't want to share their patents, they don't want to export their raw materials, despite this crisis where the countries are going through. And coming to our own Serum Institute CEO Adar Poonawalla, you'll be surprised to know that he is making all confusing statements, a very strange behavior. So when the fire broke out, he said that the fire has never affected his production because it was something, the fire broke out in a new block, which has nothing to do with the production of Covishield vaccine. But when he went to the UK, he gave a statement that the production has been hampered because of the fire. This is one misleading statement. The second misleading statement which he did was that he said that yes, since India is not allowing for the exports, he has made some contract with some countries to export the vaccines. So they are suing him. So he wanted compensation. So the India gave him 3,000 crores. The other aspect which he raised was the threats calls which he was getting it, and that too when he went to UK, he revealed it with in a press conference. Though he was given a wide category security, so he spoke about the threats. And later on, the other one claim he made was that he doesn't have raw materials. And when the Indian government intervened, then he said that raw material was nothing to do for the Covishield, it was for Novavax vaccine. And that Novavax vaccine is not for sale in India, it is for the US. And the recent claim which he made was that he wanted, despite the crisis, that is a shortcomings and is failing in his obligations to give the necessary supply to the Indian government, the vaccines. He requested the government to permit him to export 50 lakh doses of Covishield vaccine to Britain.